Hello everybody. Today's little segment is entitled Spirit Junkies and Frauds. Now, what do I mean by these two terms? I'm going to discuss two subjects. Firstly, mediums. Recently, in the last few months, I went to a medium, and I haven't been to a medium for, must be 15 years maybe, because I don't go for readings. Anyway, this lady came very, very, very highly recommended, and how she was such an amazing medium, and her waiting list was so long, very expensive, and she was brilliant, right? So I booked, and I went with a couple of friends. Now, when I got there, right, she looked at me. Now, take a look at me, right? And she kept going on. Are you psychic? You're psychic. You're involved in spiritual stuff. And I was saying, no, because I don't believe in feeding the medium. But I was watching her. She laid out the cards and what she did. And she was cold reading and feeding off me. She almost had me. Well, I had read the cards before she'd even seen them. I could see them. And she took a lot of money off me. And she was actually a load of rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Cold reading. She had people queuing to get in to see her. And she had a little shop that sold trinkets like dream catchers, angels, crystals. But this was all a front. Because what she was actually doing was making a lot of money out of a lot of people. And I don't like that. I really don't. I don't mind. I used to charge for readings, and if you get a good medium, yes, it's worth it. But she came so highly recommended, and yet here she was, cold reading. None of what she said came to pass. She was using a technical script that they all use. And I've seen it done, and I could do it, and you can teach it to anybody. Like when you ring up a tarot line, what you get is a script that they're given, right? And they're told what to say to keep you on that line so that the money clocks up. It's all a con, and it really gets my goat. The hard part is that there are some great mediums out there, but it's hard to find them. And this one, oh gosh, the amount of bouquets she threw at herself was unbelievable. Yet, it was a load of rubbish. None of it came true. Absolute rubbish. So what I'm going to say is really, really have your eyes open. And I'm going to talk about on the journey. Now, I'm old, and I've been doing this a long, long time. And when you first start out on the spiritual journey, you're eager for knowledge. You want to know about, what's the latest thing? And you have what's known as in UK, we have mind, body, spirit fairs, which are great when you're young and you go to them and you meet a different type of people who are all wanting to expand their own knowledge of the spiritual realm and develop themselves in the self-help areas. But it is a massive industry too. And the industry, like any industry, is there to get you to spend money and go and see these things. And what I've noticed over the years is it's the same thing, just turned around with different buzzwords and different authors come on the circuit, X, Y, Z, and this person said and that person saying, and it's a big thing. There's a lot of workshops, healing, yoga, finding yourself. All these things are good. They're not bad. It just depends on who is actually doing them. And there are what I call blag merchants out there, blaggers, blag you to death. Now, I went on a workshop, must be nearly 25 years ago now. And this workshop was run by, in my view, and this is only my view, the only mentor I've ever really, really learn and read everything about this person was run by Dr. Bernie Siegel. Now this, I'll tell you how long ago it was. There was no Google, there was no internet and no computers and no mobile phones. Okay? So I went to this workshop run by Dr. Bernie Siegel in Warwick University in the UK. I had to travel all the way down there. My husband drove me. And the workshop changed my life. The weekend workshop. And I was sitting in the company. I'd never been on a workshop before. And I was sitting in the company of people afterwards when we were relaxing. And I was listening to the conversation. And as they were talking, they were saying, oh, have you been to see Deepak Chopra's workshop? Oh, yeah. And then I went to see Louise Hay. Oh, yes. And then I went to see Suzanne Jeffers. And then, yeah, and if you've been to see Wayne Dwyer's workshop. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, why are all these people keep going to the workshop? And what occurred to me was they were workshop junkies. They did the spirit circuit. The whole point of the workshop, which for me transformed my life, that one workshop. And yet these felt the need to go to every single one. So I thought to myself, well, what is it that you're missing? Because you're obviously not learning from the workshops. You're just doing the rounds to make yourself appear more spiritual than you actually are. So what I'm going to say is, be wary of falling into that trap. Now, there are an absolute plethora of authors out there, speakers, new age thinkers, gurus, etc., etc. I'm a bit old school in that I don't believe more is better. I believe that keep it simple, right? And in an old school, I'm going to show you, as I've always said all along, I won't recommend anything that I don't think is any good or doesn't resonate with me. But we can't all like mayonnaise, can we? So, for example, very, very highly recommended author is Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Wow, he's the buzzword. Man does nothing for me, nothing at all. But that doesn't say that I am right. He does nothing for me. And yet, to other people, he's amazing. Personally, he bores me to death. He brings me down when I listen to him. I prefer more Deepak Chopra, the late Wayne Dwyer, Louise Hay, Suzanne Jeffers, Norman Vincent Peale, right? These are all Caroline Myss. Sometimes she can get a bit too heavy though. You have to watch her. Start light, then get heavy when you're further on in your own spiritual learning. And what I'm going to say is, taste a little bit of everyone. You benefit these days of YouTube, and I can speak to you and I can tell you, this wasn't around when I went on a workshop. And I know that workshop I had to go on because it was the one I was meant to go on because it changed my life. And to this day, I haven't met anybody other than Bernie Siegel who has had such a powerful influence on my life. Bernie is now in his 80s and he's still very, very active. He's one of the world's top 20 spiritual healers. The man changed my life. So whatever path you're on spiritually, I do recommend everything. And here's one of his books. Bernie Siegel, it's Prescriptions for Living, right? And it's a brilliant book. All his works really are. I'm going to recommend a few more books. I could say old school, but a good author and a good teacher will never lose their influence. It will stay with you. Healing Beyond Your Body, Larry Dossey, MD. Brilliant. Very, very, very good. Old now, yeah. The Scalpel and the Soul. Stories written by a surgeon. Spiritual. Very spiritual. Interesting. Another one written by a doctor. Oh yes, doctors do too believe in life after death. What happens when we die? Yeah. That's another one by Dr. Sam Parner. Right? Also, all the new age stuff that is now out there for you and at your disposal comes from A Course in Miracles. That's where it all came from. If you're at a stage where, let's say, your life isn't so good and you're feeling depressed, one very, very, very good book I did read, and it is called Unstuck. And it's a guide to 7-stage journey out of depression. I would highly recommend that for anybody who has suffered or suffers with depression. Because from time to time, circumstances, life, we'll all have the black dog hanging over our shoulder. That was a very, very good book, and I want to recommend that to you. And I've recommended this one before, which is well read. Look, this is typical of me. Pages all turned, written all over, usually Broken Open by Elizabeth Lesser. That's a lovely book. And she has done, you can watch her on YouTube. She's a very interesting lady. And a healer, and found her own path. This really, I've highly recommended it to a lot of people. And I just wanted to say that this little snippet today is going to be brief after the heavy one I did yesterday. But always have your eyes and ears open and ask for guidance. Go to a couple of workshops. Dip your toe in. You might feel that that person feels right for you, or that other person doesn't. I used to really like Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, right? Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, right? That also helps, right? All these are little stepping stones to bigger things. You have at your disposal what was not at my disposal when I began on a journey many years ago. We had a library. America was like something so far away. Yet technology has given us the power to sit and watch somebody in another country. It's absolutely amazing what we have at our disposal. And the people I've spoken of, you can watch them all on YouTube. Deepak Chopra is a very interesting guy. He's a very, very good spiritual teacher. And I do recommend, but I think he's done over 70 odd books. Well, I haven't read them all. I've read about 5 of them. I read his father's book, and that was very, very, very enlightening, right? And with all the books, I've often said, read it, digest some, spit the rest out. We can't all like the same thing, can we? We're all different. We're all individuals. Yeah, some people will like ice cream and custard. You know? So it's the same with books, and it's the same with, shall we say, spiritual teachers. Someone you will be very drawn to. Another very, very highly respected teacher is Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. You'll heard of him. Personally, I couldn't get him. I couldn't hook into him. Just couldn't. Couldn't do it. I tried his book. It wasn't resonating with me. That doesn't mean to say that I'm any better. No, it just means he wasn't the right one for me. So you find your own path. And I've given you lots and lots of titles, which I hope you will research, look at, or go on YouTube and watch these people. A good little tip is, if you're familiar with, is see many of these brilliant speakers on Oprah Winfrey. Is it Super Soul Sundays? She does segments where she has these speakers who come out and talk. And you'll find, you might say, I'm drawn to that person. And they may well be the right one to help you expand yourself. So they're just a few off my shelf. I'm always reading, never stop reading. Because when you stop reading, you stop growing and you become old. The internet does make you lazy, but it's a wonderful tool if it's used right. That's what I'm going to say. But beware of fraudulent mediums. And it's so difficult for me to say, to criticise my own profession. But I have to, because in any profession, whether it be medicine, the building trade, you will always find a cowboy. And there are speakers that are brilliant, life-changing and absolutely spot on. And there are some that are there for the ride and for the dollar, right? I often notice sometimes an author will bring out a book that is really good and you've enjoyed it, and then a follow-up will come. But the follow-up is just a rehash or the same thing dressed a different way. And it's because the publishing company want more money. So it's trial and error. Why don't you, if you have like-minded friends, start a little book club up, right? And where you pick a book each and discuss it. Read it, discuss it, and expand your knowledge. Build that way, right? And use YouTube. Use other people's videos, right? And you will be enhancing your own mind and growing all the time, right? But be wary of those who want money from you. Even I learnt my lesson. I was fooled into thinking this lady was the bee's knees. She was rubbish, absolute rubbish. But she could fool a lot of people. And I was nearly fooled until I realised, well, I thought this is cold reading. Bang on. So, hope you've enjoyed that little insight. You can watch it again and go over the titles. Go on Amazon. Always read the reviews. And always read the 3-star reviews or the lower reviews, because sometimes you'll see all the 5-star and you get the book. I bought one book actually. It's called Medical Medium. And it was really, really, the right editing about it. I thought, that looks really, really interesting. That I got it. And it started off brilliant. Except the guy got stuck and hooked up on something that was completely unrelated to what the book was supposed to be about. I was really disappointed in that. So be wary and share. Sharing, learning, watch YouTube, Super Soul Sundays, and please do watch Bernie Siegel because he's taught me so much. Thanks for watching, and remember, go out and do something good for somebody and don't expect thanks. Take care. Bye for now.